things all start piling their way through. It does mean the tech up is going to be nice, but there's the Overlord sacrificing his way in. We'll see everything, though. That's really important for Shibby. Shibby also, I don't believe, knows about this bottom left-hand pylon, does he? No, he has seen that. He went down there with some Zerglings, but Zergling's coming to pick off the one at the top position now, so just trying to run around, get everywhere he can. Zeta will warp him, but obviously will trade quite well against these Lings, but the upgrade advantage... Oh, I'm sorry, no upgrades done yet for either player. Wow. Not even any evolution chambers down for Shibby.
Yeah, it seems to have been quite a units-based game so far for Shibby, not concerned with getting the sheer volume up. We have a Hallucinated Phoenix coming into the main base, spotting the Hydralisk dead, spotting that it is currently researching something. He'll likely assume it's muscular augments, could also be group spines, of course, but you'll eventually be getting both. And Dez is going to be preparing. Once again, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him soon go for that Robotics Bay in light of this composition, once again going for those Colossi.
Yeah, Shibby's third, is also worth noting, is very late. That came down about 9 minutes. So, big delays being caused by that. These Zealots are taking a considerable amount of fire, though. The Zerglings trying to prevent their retreat is going to be able to do so. Actually microing them back to make sure that they don't take full damage, and the Hydras clean that up very nicely. Shibby now trading a bit more cost effectively than his opponent, but another wave of Zealot Warpins coming in from the top position, and that's going to get spotted by an Overlord.
Yeah, a lot of sneaky places to put forward pylons on this map on Frost here. And Shibby actually doing a great job of scouting them out so far. Dez now going to be taking his third base as well. And there is an Overlord here for Shibby. She's going to be spewing creep behind the natural expansion, presumably because he's a little bit scared. He is going to be moving forward, though. Is he going to be spotting the third base? It doesn't look like it yet, but there are no units here to kill it off, so he might very well head over there himself.
Now, Shibby going up to high very early on, yet again, around the 11-minute mark, so a bit more of a normal time, not quite as quickly as he did in game number 1. This, with the Roach coming down, just very normal Roach, Hydra, Viper. The difference to game number 1, and this is a huge difference, is the evolution chambers are only now just getting started. Very late upgrades, and that gives an upgrade advantage to Dez, which, with the Twilight counter down, he's starting 2-2 immediately, and is going to just be compounding that.
Yeah, it took a reasonably long time for those Evo chambers to get up, but we do have those upgrades finally on the way. Overlord spewing creep inside the main base next to the robotics bay for Shibby, but note that he hasn't actually gone in and physically seen the third base yet. He might be able to assume that it's up because there is no 2-base timing incoming right now, but still, that's got to be something that he would be slightly concerned about. He should really head in there and double check, and that's what he does with the Zergling. Good stuff.
Yeah, so now he knows that. It's a good confirmation, just as you said. Knowing is a lot better than assuming, and this small little Hydra force with group spines, with muscular augments, actually dishes out a huge amount of DPS, sending the Overseer with it too, just in case there's any observers they can pick off. But the Hive now just finishing up for Shibby. The Vipers immediately starting. Shibby, he's in a nicer spot now.
Yeah, he's not doing too badly. He's up to 143 supply versus 118 from Dez, who's currently a little bit supply blocked. Extended Thermal Lance, though, is nearly done for our Protoss player. So against these Lings and Hydras, he'll be able to get a lot of splash damage done. But that's why we see Roaches now being pumped from Shibby to try and counteract that and soak up that damage while the Hydras deal the DPS.
And of course, that is the big thing. These rocks getting taken out, just trying to negate the effectiveness of force fields or tight chokes. That's something that Shibby definitely wants to avoid happening. But Sonic Storm, that's on its way down for Dez. He's getting, again, that Hydra killing the force, where a couple of Colossi, a few good storms, plus some feedbacks on the Vipers. Suddenly Shibby isn't in the greatest spot. But Dez as well, he's down in supply. Just under 50 supply down, and even though the upgrades are going to be 2-0 for Dez, 1-1 is about to complete for Shibby, so that makes things relatively equal.
Ultralisk Cavern coming down now for Shibby, so we are going to be seeing a similar composition here to game number 1. And this time, he's not waiting for his Roaches and Hydras to die off before starting to pump those Ultralisks. So I'm a little bit more optimistic that he will be able to get a decent chunk more out of his army composition than he did previously. We'll keep an eye out on that, and if those Hydras can prove to be that supporting DPS role that we were looking for in game 1. In the meantime, though, we see Immortals now coming out from Dez. Has he spotted the Ultralisk Cavern yet? It does not look like it. Pardon me, it was in the third base. Oh no, where was the Ultralisk? Yeah, there it is. So, he hasn't spotted that yet, has he? Yes, he has. Okay.
Yeah, it's an important thing to scout that coming down, because this is where the tech switch, just as we saw in game 1, is occurring. And actually, it's a smart move by Shibbxyz because look at game 2. He tried to mix it up, it didn't work. It's always good to go back to what worked for you. Dez, though, maybe he's going to be a bit more prepared to deal with this, putting down an additional gateway there, seeing the rocks getting taken out, just to make sure this wall-off is still completed. The Vipers, though...
Watch the Vipers!
Yeah, there we go, there's the abducts! Brilliant abducts there by Shibbxyz.
Excellent stuff. The Observer getting picked off as well, and first blood definitely going to Shibbxyz here. He looks like he's going to loop around and maybe try and go for the third base. And, well, there are no Colossi left with this army right now, so he must be feeling pretty okay. But great storm to start the fight off from Dez. Shibbxyz looks like he's just going to be moving straight into it, though. He is not afraid. He's honey badgering it in.
Yeah, great blinding clouds, though, as well. Means a lot of this army can't actually engage. Shibbxyz is absolutely power driving through this at the moment, and Dez is trying to engage in the best position he can, but Shibbxyz, just look at the sheer number of units he's got here. Great force fields, though, there from Dez. Are zoning out quite a large amount of stuff, but Dez's army slowly dwindling down.
Yeah, I think Shibbxyz, not killing off the Immortals is actually quite a big deal right now, and I think Dez is going to be able to push that back just for a bit. Offensive link forward means that these armies are going to trade, and Shibbxyz will be able to get a decent number of Stalkers killed off by the time he moves back. But Dez currently a 125 supply versus 118 for Shibbxyz, who now switches directly over into Ultralisk, and what I'm going to be looking out for now is what units other than the Ultras he's going to be coming out with. He needs to make sure that they don't go in alone.
Now, I'm actually really comfortable with that trade for Shibbxyz, because yes, he lost a bit more, and yes, his entire army died, but he picked off the Colossi, he kept the Stalker count a lot lower, and if you prevent a Protoss player from getting up into that kind of maxed out position, do you know what, you're going to be okay. But I love the fact, Joasar, that you point out that the Immortals didn't die. There's now 6 out on the field, and Shibbxyz is transitioning into Ultralisks. This Immortal heavy composition is going to be ridiculously strong against this Ultra Force.
Yeah, I think these Immortals are just going to do so much damage to the incoming Ultralisks that really it's up to Shibbxyz now to kind of recognize this. Notice he hasn't actually seen any of the existing army, and really respond to it. If he just goes for pure Ultras against what is effectively a massive Immortal-centric army, then this could be problem, again, without those backup units. I want to see some Infestors, I want to see some Hydras, I want to see a little bit more mixed in here. He's got some Lings right now, but I don't feel like that's completely enough.
And yeah, I'm still quite surprised that Infestors aren't coming down, because this composition works so much better with a few good fungal growths. It allows the Ultralisks to really close up the distance, and the Shibbxyz now jumping down that Pathogen Glands upgrade. I really think that is essential. +1 melee attack also going to kick in. Of course, that's the other downside to this tech switch, is sometimes you don't, well, the Ultras don't deal enough damage, so that's what, again, the supporting units are critically important.
Oh, and a couple of Zealots now just going to be chasing some Lings down as Dez puts up the sneaky base over here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, and that's why they were chasing the Lings. Shibbxyz immediately spots that this base is incoming, and this is going to be a massive target for a Zerg player moving forward.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge target for him, but these Zealots are coming in now towards the 4th base. They are going to get cleaned up quite nicely. The other thing interestingly Shibbxyz hasn't yet researched is the Adrenal Glands upgrade, which is quite surprising when he's got a good number of Lings down on the field. It would be beneficial for him. But yeah, Pathogen Glands is now done. Dez, though, getting the Stargate. A few Void Rays would be brilliantly incorporated into his force, because with Prismatic Alignment, they deal with Ultras very timely.
Yeah, this is becoming an anti-Ultralisk army coming out of Dez here, and I'm starting to really fear for Shibbxyz. Because if we take a look, still nothing but Ultras. There are a couple of Hydras in here now, in fact 8 of them, that's a decent number. And some Lings, but I still feel like there are so many Ultras here that if we do get a Void Ray composition with a lot of these Immortals, that it could just fall very quickly.
Yeah, that is my concern as well, but Shibbxyz, he's preparing for that, because, look, he's getting the Spire down behind this, so another quick tech switcher could be needed. Wow, that is a lot of cannons, but Ultras, very good at dealing with this. Shibbxyz just plowing straight in, and Dez's army so far out of position, but can mass recall over, and this is the dangerous thing now, because even though the Blinding Clouds are down, there's still a lot of DPS able to come out of here, a few storms hitting on the Hydras, the Ultras, somewhat in the meat grinder, but yeah, Blinding Clouds being used quite effectively there by Shibbxyz.
And we had storms off against the Hydras, but one short of killing them all, another one, and a lot of that DPS would have gone down significantly sooner, but look at the damage these Immortals are doing right now. The Ultras absolutely tearing through until they got towards the back, where the Immortals were actually stood around this position. And as soon as the Immortals came into range of the Ultras, they went nom nom nom, it's lunchtime. And Dez completely plowing through that army once those Ultras got there.
But Great Aspire coming down, Shibbxyz got 7 more Ultralisks on the way, and those 44 Lings. Dez, he just doesn't have the army to take round 2 from that. If Shibbxyz pushes across and goes for it hard and fast, then yeah, maybe he can get in a good position, but still, the concern is those Immortals are still there. A fleet beacon is even coming down here for Dez at the moment, Jorasa.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm looking forward to seeing if this means we're going to be seeing a transition into Tempests from our Protoss player, which would be great against both these Ultralisks, of course, which are massive units, and Broodlords potentially, as the Great Aspire is down now as well. So Dez potentially looking to transition into that late game Protoss composition. In the meantime, Shibbxyz expanding absolutely everywhere. We can see he has loads and loads of bases littered throughout the map right now. And the one thing Dez isn't doing, even though he seems to be coming off these engagements pretty well here, he's not actually not really sending too many units out to pick these bases off. And I feel like that's giving Shibbxyz a bit of breathing room.
Yeah, Shibbxyz sitting admittedly only at 66 harvesters to the 79 probes, but Shibbxyz's bank is looking a lot nicer. Now, I love this from Dez. He's getting out some Tempest. That's going to really help him against the Broodlords, if they do come out, which they should do.
And even if they don't, it'll help against the Ultralisks as well. A lot of Banelings morphing in from Shibbxyz. Now, he's decided, actually, I'd like to take this 4th base out and make sure it stays dead as well. And what better way to do that than with massive explosions? So let's see how effective this is going to be. He's going to move in now. I wouldn't be surprised if we just saw the Banelings just march straight in, not waiting at all. Here's a couple links to start things off, but here come the Banelings. About half them. Wow, actually going up against the Nexus. He wants to make sure this gets taken out, and he does. He's now trying to escape up the ramp. If he gets a good position, he might be able to turn around and engage here. Is he going to try to? It doesn't look like it. He just wants to hightail it home. Picks off the 4th base, moves away. It's probably going to be at the expense of this one, though.
Yeah, he probably will. Well, Dez actually choosing not to try and engage that there. Shibbxyz, of course, getting out a couple of Infestors behind this, and this is what we're saying all along. A few Infestors can really make this army composition a lot nicer. The Great Aspire is finished, but no Corruptors or Broodlords as of yet. The Tempest still slowly creeping out. They're going to help if the Broodlords do hit the field, but Adrenal Gland's about to kick in for Shibbxyz as well. His Zerglings, with those 2-3 Adrenal Gland upgrades, soon to be 3-3 upgrades, they're going to be very powerful and do a huge amount of DPS if the Colossus count stays low.
Yep, I think at the moment, I still feel Shibbxyz has a lot of breathing room, and look at how much respect Dez is giving him as well. This space over here on around the 8 o'clock position just hasn't been touched, even though Dez walked straight past it. And as a result, if we take a look at the income right now, Shibbxyz is comfortably mining about twice as much as Dez is. And I feel like even though Dez has a decent army composition and he's getting those Tempests out as well, in the long run, he can't afford to be mining this much less than his opponent.
Yeah, and that's my concern as well, is that Shibbxyz, his bank is huge right now. And while he's sitting there with that nice big bank, he's able to just keep resupplying, keep chucking more and more at his opponent, and he's got so many bases. He's taken pretty much half the map. There's a couple of Ultras even coming for run-bys, which just shows how much extra money and how many units Shibbxyz's got down right now. But if Dez comes back to try and defend this, Shibbxyz's just going to march down the left, and that's exactly what he's doing now.
Oh, and here he goes, marching down the left here, like you say, Mattles, but Dez is ready for it. He stops his army as soon as he realizes that's going to be happening. Tempest completely annihilating that Zergling, saving that probe's life in the process, and, well, these two Ultras still standing strong over here. They're going to be really, really frustrating, preventing any long-distance mining at this base so far. Even got a borrowed Zergling there, which I really like. That's a good little touch there from Shibbxyz.
Yeah, it's frustrating to deal with that as well, especially when we consider there's only a single observer on the field for Dez. But Dez moving in to this bottom left-hand base is going to be able to start working through it. The hatchery definitely going to fall, but this is getting Dez quite a long way out of position. And if he gets in there, he can deal a nice amount of damage.
And here we go. Shibbxyz looks like he wants to engage here, even with the Tempest. A lot of Banelings around this army. Do we have any force field? Don't see too many. Excellent fungal growth, but the Storms take out a lot of the Banelings. I don't think too much damage was done by them there, and as a result, especially with these Immortals and the Tempest up on top here, I think Dez is going to be able to hold this comfortably.
Yeah, he is going to be able to hold this. Shibbxyz is still losing more. Of course, those Tempests are primarily there to deal with the Broodlords, because they don't deal bonus damage. to the Ultras, but they still do a pretty impressive 30 damage per hit, so they are good to take them out with the aid of those Immortals too. Really, Dez just getting more Tempers out, more Immortals out, and Shibby switching into Muteless, but with so many Archons there, that's a bit concerning.
Interesting. So what Shibby wants to do right now is get into a situation where he spots where Dez's Archons are out on the map and say, I'm going to attack with very highly mobile mutas on the opposite side of the map to where your Archons are at, so that your immobile army completely falls to my mutas on the ground so that I start picking apart your tech. He doesn't want to engage them head on with this. This is definitely distraction tactics now as he moves in. Look at the number of mutas now at the natural expansion, and where are the Archons? They're nowhere in sight. They're halfway across the map.
And yeah, the Archons can't get back to defend this, but Shibby is currently attacking a non-mining base. He needs to take out production facilities. That's the key thing in my opinion.
Alright, so it looks like Dez coming in as well. He's decided, oh, I can't really deal with this straight up, so I'm going to have to go for this massive potential base trade situation. A couple of drones there feeling pretty lucky as they continue to mine gas, completely oblivious to the destruction that's going on around them. And I don't think Dez will be able to kill off enough bases in time, to be perfectly frank. I think these mutas are just too much.
Well, there's 49 Mutalisks on the field. That's pretty insane. The Archons, if they do get in a good position, and of course with the Storms, could deal a huge amount. So Dez, going to his base trade, he doesn't actually know about the top right bases at all. So maybe he just thinks Shibby's up here to the top left, and he's got a chance. The Mutalisks are having to try and engage into a lot of cannons, or they've got to come and try and engage head up on and actually engage the army, and that looks like what Shibby is going to opt to do.
Yeah, he's getting ready to move in now. And Dez is just allowing the Tempest to pick up the Spike Rolls. He has to be as cost effective as possible. And the reason for that is because he's still not really mining compared to Shibby. Shibby, still with the larger army here, might be able to go in and pick apart the rest of these structures since the Spike Rollers appear to be buying him some time. That's exactly what he's going to do, picking apart some gateways as well. And I just don't see how Dez can beat this army. There are just too many mutas.
Well, he's got the perfect composition to try and deal with it. Storms and, of course, Archons. Shibby just needs to split the mutas like a beast. If he does that, he can engage that army head up. If he doesn't, he very well could lose all of them very quickly. 4 Ultras are on their way out. Shibby just wants to try and whittle down the army of Dez as quickly as he can.
Yep. In the meantime, you see Dez now inside the main base. Actually, Infestation Pit and Hive going down now as well. Dez currently at 119 supply versus 198 for Shibby, who does have these mining bases in the top right, looking fairly secure at the moment. Got a couple of Ultras there to try and defend against that. This third base is likely going to go soon as well, but at the expense of everything that Dez... Oh, look at this. The production facilities and the tech getting completely taken out here. And I don't see how Dez can overcome this 80 supply deficit to come back and win this game.
It's near impossible, especially with all of his production now taken out. He's not got much money. Shibby, he can just keep throwing stuff against the army. Once he's dealt with that army, he's absolutely safe. And that's a bit of a problem.
It is indeed. Dez, though, he is moving and he's taking out bases, so there'll only be 2 bases for Shibby after this. And bear in mind, we do still have this base here, which is currently protected by approximately 3,100,512 cannons. So Dez really looking to turtle up there. It is his last remaining base, and Shibby has pretty much taken out every other building on the map. We take a look at Dez's vision right now. It's this base, plus a probe there, which might be able to put a desperation pylon down, plus the army. Now, is Shibby going to defend, or is he going to attack? It looks like he's coming back to defend, so we are going to see a showdown here.
There is still a High Templar down there. That's the concern. They've got a lot of energy on them. There's the Storms going to start hitting. Got to be careful not to allow these Mutalisks to go down. The Storms are good, Jorisar. And of course, the Archons are going to be the next
Oh! This is so much damage. All the mutas are orange. It is ridiculous. They should all die soon. And if they all survive, even with 1 hit point, their regeneration will allow them to carry through and win this game. And look at this. Look at what kind of health these mutas are on, but the numbers still on the field are 31. It's not enough. Dez down to 50 supply now versus the 132 for Shibby, who now looks set to take game number 3.
Yeah, all he's got to do is deal with those cannons. He doesn't even need to rush to deal with them. Unfortunately, Shibby did lose most of his tech, but does have the Ultralisk Cavern up at the moment. And I say at the moment because it's currently bleeding to death where Creep has receded. So that's something Shibby does need to keep an eye out on. But Dez has literally lost everything. In terms of structures down for Dez at the moment, he's got one gateway. And that's it.
Mass changelings coming in now for Shibby, as if to add insult to injury. There's not a lot that Dez can do in this situation, and picking off the High Templars first, a couple of storms going down. The Mutas dodging the majority of them pretty well here, as Shibby just patiently waits for his opportunity to finish off this game. These changelings are seeing a decent amount right now, and, well, the Mutas are just going to deny the last of the mining. Ooh, High Templars storming your own probes, not something you want to do.
Of course, these cannons are still just sitting there. They are a threat, and this is the concern. Shibby would be a lot easier to deal with this if he got a couple more Ultralisks down. And I'm surprised he's not, because he's got the supply too, and he does still have the Ultralisk Cavern.
You know what I think matters? One Broodlord. Just one.
Just one Broodlord.
One Broodlord.
He doesn't have the Spire or Greater Spire, though, Joris.
Oh, yeah, it could take
that could take a while. The Ultras would still do a good job, though.
Yep. And the Mutas now look at this, almost all back at full health. He's trying to engage some of the cannons and realizing, actually, I've lose quite a lot doing that. I could just hole up and wait. Dez is at 30 supply, and there isn't really any realistic possibility of him getting back into this game now. Shibby going back up to the infestation pit now as well. He's continuing to mine off of these bases in the top left. We take a look at the income tab, guys. Dez is down to 400 middles a minute, and Shibby is up to over 2,000.
Now, Shibby's Mutalisk count is actually down to 20. He keeps trying to engage these cannons, but just can't. He needs to actually just stop throwing units at that. Dez is pretty much lost. Even though he's got a huge bank, he just doesn't have anything left. And ultimately, if he just keeps sitting here and tries to run that in without any support, he could be in trouble. There are a couple of Stargates trying to come down. The Mutas can pick these off. Yes, there's High Templar there with Storm, but the Mutas can definitely try and stop those. And Dez needs those up because he has no tech otherwise. Should be going back up to Hive, even though he still has that Ultralisk Cavern. Or, sorry, it just died from bleeding out.
All right, so that Hive is going to be useful. He'll be able to get the Greater Spire and the Ultralisk Cavern once again to come in and effectively finish off the job. He currently leads 166 supply to 31, so not a lot going on at the moment. We're basically waiting for Dez to almost bleed out here. Another storm from those High Templars. He's still got a couple of those available. Good at keeping these alive. I'm really tempted, if I was Shibby, to walk in and just pick them off and eat the storm. And that's exactly what he's doing. Two of the High Templars have gone, and the third one is about to go as well. There we go. No more storms for you, mister. And now the Stargate is going to get taken out as well.
Unfortunately, the Mutalists are taking a bit of fire there. The Stargates need to get taken out though, because otherwise Phoenix are going to start popping out, and that's when these have a lot less fun. But Infestors now coming in, a whole bunch of Infested Terrans getting lobbed down, Zergling streaming across, Shibby going forward. He's trying to pick this off as fast as he can, but just with so many photon cannons there, it is going to take time. But with so many Infested Terrans, that is a cost-effective way to deal with it.
It is indeed, and all of these Infested Terrans will be enough for Dez to say GG. Shibby takes game number 3 in a series that has lasted over an hour and a quarter, a very viciously fought quarterfinals here, but Shibby will be the one moving